Hillary, have you started the meeting and have taken the city off mute so we can hear you?
Yes, we have.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I was just asking for those present in the executive session to say they were there. Suzanne attested for you. Aaron was present
Yes.
and
Those two.
that's everyone.
Everybody, those two.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can second that attestation. I was there and nobody was with me.
Very good. And then I have one last blip to read. If any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I ask that you state your concerns now. All right, hearing none, the current next agenda item is roll call.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Labar,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Case,
Here.
Councilmember Connors,
Here.
Councilmember Harvey, Councilmember Nakai,
Here.
Councilmember Neal,
Here,
Councilmember Zulawaga.
Here.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this evening, we're going to start with a presentation from the Military Order of the Purple Heart on establishing Woodland Park as a Purple Heart city. And we have John Bartlett, Military Order of the Purple Heart, presenting for us. And we have the podium right there for you if you'd like.
thank you.
It has been a while since I've spoken in public. Please be kind. My name is John Bartlett. I'm a fourth generation native son. My great grandfather came to Colorado Pikes Peak area in 1848. We live at Florissant, Colorado, so I'm a resident of the county and I am a citizen of the United States. I am a veteran with an honorable discharge and recipient of the Purple Heart. There are some handouts for everyone to see. It's the decoration given to our military for those killed in action, in actual battle, and for those of us who are wounded. I was slightly wounded. In fact, I lost more blood learning to shave than I did for my country. And the next time a sergeant said run, I was running. I can tell you that for sure. Mayor, have you seen the Purple Heart medal? I have it to share around.
Sure, certainly.
Would you like it back? Or I know Mr. Connors is a military liaison, and I have my DD form 214.
You ought to be verifying mine, sir.
Okay. The reason I present the 214 is in our culture, we do have hope. I just wanted to stand substantiated before the citizenry and the council. Glasses on here. Here we go. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to speak. And thank you for stepping up to leadership positions in our community here. I'm sure it's frustrating at times, but also rewarding. I have a handout.
I can do that for you.
Okay. On the back of it is the proposal to read what I want to do. And I give you just a moment to read it over, and then I'll read it aloud while you read it together, each of us. While you're reading it, just a couple of comments. The Purple Heart medal was originated by George Washington. And then after the Revolution, it kind of went stagnant and disappeared until it was brought back in the 30s. And we've decorated quite a number of people. The stats change from website to website, so kind of let you look those up. Couple of antidotes, I think. Was having a cup of coffee at one of our coffee shops here in town. Young lady waiting on me asked about this bolo tie. This is the commemorative coin for the medal, and you can wear that in public, and I do so I can meet veterans. The young lady waiting on me complimented the coin, but didn't know what it was about, and her husband was in the Air Force. So it's time to talk about it a little bit. And I wanted to also mention the suicide situation we have with veterans in Florissant. We have lost 2 to suicide, 1 veteran and 1 active duty special forces soldier. And it's hard, so I wanted to bring it up. Okay, let's get going. Woodland Park could be Teller County's first community to display the Purple Heart trail signs. Our vision is to increase citizen awareness to the significance of patriot sacrifice in times of war by educating the citizens with the permanent posting of the revered Purple Heart community signs. You'll notice on your handout, it says Woodland Park. Throughout Teller County and other communities, the Purple Heart Trail is a mythical trail with signs posted in 45 states and Guam. The purpose of the Purple Heart Signs initiative is to support and honor all veterans and to highlight the veteran Purple Heart recipients and their families for their patriotism, courage, and sacrifices for our country's freedom. Sponsoring agency is the Military Order of the Purple Heart. They're a fraternal organization for veterans. The requirements: we must post the signs in an honorable, appropriate, and safe manner fitting the dignity of the patriot sacrifices. A proclamation read by public, excuse me, at the public gatherings from county and city government officials involved. And finally, a social gathering of the Purple Heart veterans and family survivors where any and all citizens can support and share each other. That'll be done at the Veterans Motorcycle Rally, August 19th, 2023. Because our veterans are suffering from depression, anxiety, marital issues, present rate is 80% divorce rate for veterans getting out. Post-traumatic stress, the suicide of 25 per day, depends where you read and where you Google, from 20 to 30. A monetary donation will be made to the Mighty Oaks Foundation to continue their life-saving work. They are a nonprofit organization focused on changing the legacy of warriors and ending the national veteran suicide epidemic. They have over 4,500 graduates in 13 years and no suicides. The social gathering will be conducted in conjunction with the remembrance ceremony of the rally. It is hoped there will be a formal announcement and reading of the proclamation by a council member to begin placing the Purple Heart signs of the Military Order of the Purple Heart in Woodland Park, and that will be at council's discretion to where they're placed. The first sign is a donation from Pro Promotions that conducts the event, with more donations promised from the Woodland Park Veterans of Foreign Wars, the Woodland Park American Legion, and the Colorado Special Forces Association. The individual donations from Teller County veterans. It is hoped that the Purple Heart Trail signs will increase public awareness, concern, and support for our nation's warriors, past, present, and future. It is also hoped that veterans, active duty, guard, and reserve, and families of Purple Heart recipients of all services and all generations will attend the gathering and enthusiastically support this effort for the greater good of our citizens and generations to come. Your approval of the Purple Heart signs for Woodland Park will be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Your questions?
Council questions?
Mayor, if I might, I will be in attendance at the rally. And if you're not, I would be honored to read that for you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir, your writing was very small on the back of your photo with your Purple Heart. Which one were you? In the picture of your A team?
Thank you. The youngest one, I was a 19-year-old. 19-year-old second lieutenant down here on the bottom. when you're that young and in special forces, you're a great source of amusement for the senior NCOs. You know, they would, we'd go in a bar, they'd order so many drinks and a big orange for the kid. It was a learning experience, but in all seriousness, I was blessed with the amount of training and courage and repeated deployments that those men had when we went to Vietnam. I served in Mac Song. We did cross-border operations in Laos and Cambodia and North Vietnam. Our casualty rate was the highest in the history of the American Army. We had 80%. And I don't say that for pity or allocates, just that people know we pay the price when we're there. Air support was 30 to 45 minutes away, and you fought with what you had in your hands till they got there. Not complaining again. I would do it again in a second. Were I younger? Questions? Can they ask questions?
And I have one other question for you,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bartlett, and that is, you say it's a mythical trail. So the signs that you're proposing that we put up in the city, is there going to be like a kind of any sort of track within the city that they follow, or are they just going to be up
No, sir.
randomly?
It's just a posting of a sign around, so there's no cost on maintenance or building trails or anything like that. We would need some help at your favor and your leisure where to place the signs that's appropriate, and
that's what I
also
said.
to install them correctly. Our group of veterans are senior age, and digging holes are hard, so we have some young men and equipment that would help, probably type thing. From here, I hope to take it on to the other communities in the county, and I have pledged support from Dan Williams to help me as I mentor me through the process. Are there Purple Heart families or recipients here this evening? No? It's very difficult to talk about the war. You're gonna have to shut me up, I guess. Pride is part of it, humbleness is part of it, and there's even part of it to share with small children or something. You don't want to frighten them with the specifics of things, age appropriate when we explain it to the young people. I have 5 granddaughters, and they wear the little pin on their collar as they go to school.
Nice.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, well, the Veterans Rally is certainly an appropriate place for the explanation, and
Thank you.
there's a lot of information that the general public who are not military families are able to learn when they attend the rally.
Yes.
So
We hope to have a booth up by the Vietnam Veterans Wall just for that purpose. That's,
very good.
you know, to answer questions and connect the families so that they can speak of it.
Mr. Bartlett, would you be willing to stand up here with the mayor for a photo?
Yes, ma'am.
With your medal, of course.
Oh, if we it don't end up in the post office, okay.
Only for Hillary. It'll just be up there for Hillary. Not for you.
Now, while we're taking pictures, Michael, you have a couple places that we can place these signs, and council, we need to talk about making approval to put the signs in.
Yeah, I would probably look to Sydney and to Kristen as well. We can have something of a conversation to some extent with the community. Maybe we can have a booth or a table at the rally and ask people, maybe make some suggestions and people can vote on it or something like that. If the council has suggestions in the meantime that we should consider, by all means, let me know and let Sydney know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can ask. for
Thank
farmers
you.
market too.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Pass it along to all the.
All right, now we are off to items 3B, proclamation designating July as Parks and Recreation Month. And we do have our Recreation Director Cindy Keating here Yep, there you are, but I'll read the proclamation. I'll do all the whereases for you. All right, and then I believe she has some staff she would like to introduce to us.
Do you want her to read the proclamation first? However you want to do it is fine with me. You're the boss.
I'll do we'll get the whereas over.
Okay, get the
And then-
whereas.
Yeah. Okay. This is designation of July as Parks and Recreation Month. Whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the city of Woodland Park. And whereas Parks and Recreation promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks. And whereas Parks and Recreation promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being and alleviating illnesses. And whereas Parks and Recreation encourages physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas park and recreation programming and education activities such as out-of-school time programming, youth sports, and environment education are critical to childhood development. And whereas Parks and Recreation increases a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas Parks and Recreation is fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And whereas Parks and Recreation is essential and adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for our children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas the city of Woodland Park recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and city council that July is recognized as Parks and Recreation Month in the city of Woodland Park.
Thank you very much. Thank you for recognizing Parks and Recreation in Woodland Park. We absolutely appreciate your support. I was going to have a bunch of staff here, but I do have a bunch of staff that are now working. We have softball games going on. We have Kiwanis Bingo going on at the Cultural Center, but I do have Aquatic Center staff here with me today, and Brady Warner, who is our aquatics manager, is with us. Brady, will you stand up, please? And our assistant aquatics manager, Ryan Olson, do I have it right? Thank you. And unfortunately, Ryan's going to be leaving us here shortly, but he's going back to school. So I thank them both for being here tonight. They worked during the day, so that's why they're here tonight, and the rest of my staff is working this evening. But thank you very much for your support and recognition.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Council, any comments or questions for Cindy?
Just a comment about that, about Purple Heart. Maybe down at the Flag Park or something, be a nice place for a sign. And of course, as you come in and out of town.
Yeah, I think we'd be
yeah,
open
Lions
to any
Club.
kind of suggestions that you might have as council, and then I would work with Kristen, and maybe we could do something at the city booth at the farmer's market as well to get opinions. So possibly we could have something in place before the rally.
Cool.
All right, very good. Items 4, we have none. 5, consent calendar A, approval of June 2022 statement of expenditures. And B, do we need to take them separate, or are you all right with A and B?
I just want to highlight one thing, and then we can take them together as far as I'm concerned. And that is in a world that is constantly, or it seems to be constantly making the police bad, I'd just like to highlight rifle sight platforms that we're spending 26 grand on. And I'd like Aaron to kind of just tell us, is that part of our police training? Oh,
Here you go.
Chris is here, great.
Good evening, everybody. Is this on?
Evening, Chief.
There we go. The question was about rifle platform, rifle sights, sir?
Yep, there's a line item 116712, check number primary arms LLC rifle sight platforms.
Yes.
Yeah, could you tell us about it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, recently we worked a call that was fairly involved. And we found out very quickly, given the circumstances that the officers were in with darkness and distance, that either the rifle sighting that we had was grossly inadequate or did not exist. So the need was very urgent to find something that was capable of supporting what the mission is. And most likely, I don't like to skimp. So if we're going to go, we're going to do it right. We've got the state of the art stuff and we're moving in the right direction.
All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
you bet.
That's it. So that's all I want to highlight.
Very
And-
good.
Yep.
So council, can I get a motion for consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
I'll second.
Council, you may vote.
Suzanne, I will have to vote verbally, and I vote yes.
Thank you, council. Motion carries 7-0.
All right, we are on to item 6, public comment on items not on the agenda. And I believe Suzanne has the people who are signed up for that.
I do. The first speaker this evening, Mayor, is Arnie Sparnans. Eric, are you doing time? Are you doing?
All right, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members. My name is Arnie Sparnans. I live in the Sunny Glen neighborhood. At last council meeting, I remotely tried to follow the initial posting of ordinance 1455 at the July 6th meeting, but the ordinance was not included in the meeting packet, nor was it read in full, at the meeting as required by Article 7 in our city charter. Since I was out of town, I don't know for sure whether it was posted for public inspection at City Hall at least 24 hours prior to the meeting, but I suspect it wasn't. I wanted to provide some written input to City Council prior to the first reading. Instead, I'll just share those comments today. Yeah, so I'll leave. I'll leave some comments, some copies of the procedure for passage of an ordinance for just to refresh everybody's memory. But this is about ordinance 1455. One thing that is clear from the council's discussion on ordinance 1455 is there are numerous unidentified ordinance wording concerns that the council desires to further review and be amended. And so the question I ask is why not simply send that feedback back to the planning commission to rewrite the ordinance? There is plenty of time. It would be in the public interest to have the amended ordinance brought forward for public inspection. We have time. Why not give feedback to the planning commission on those desired changes, work a clean ordinance through the process instead? Why intentionally plan on generating a bunch of last minute hastily crafted changes? I would like to think there are some lessons the council has learned from the ordinance 1431 debacle. And while you're providing updated guidance to the planning commission, you should request they address the inconsistencies in ordinance 1455 structure. Specifically, why are cap numbers by zoning district and Title V business regulations, while distance requirements by zoning district are in Title 18 zoning? Since they both effectively address the density of an allowed use, they should both be in Title 18 zoning rather than cap numbers being buried in business regulations. Also worth noting, when the city council brings forth a clean ordinance, Woodland Park citizens will then cleanly know what the city council's alternative is to the initiative petition currently underway. When we have a well-informed public, they can make their best decisions. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Thomas Schaefer. I don't know how to say it.
Seehafer.
Hafer, come on up.
That was pretty good.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Seehafer. I'm the owner of Campo Karate Woodland Park and City Market Center. Also the founder of the Colorado Phoenix Project, okay? Save a life, buy a ruck, okay? That's what this is, also called backpack. Militaries call it ruck for rucking, okay? When is the last time in any of your discussions that you've ever heard anyone bring up interest or talk about orphans and foster children that are out there, okay? Every year, I believe that one thing I looked up, 4,000, over 4,000 18-year-olds are homeless every year. Okay. What they take with them is something in a rucksack, a backpack, a pillowcase, a trash bag. That is their entire life. What the Colorado Phoenix Project is planning on doing is, like, again, save a life, buy a ruck. We're going to be sponsoring people to fill these rucksacks with gift cards, music, games, age-appropriate clothing, all the supplies that orphans and foster kids would need as they move from house to house, and just have a connection with, you know, what's in the bag, and with people be concerned about what they're doing. So we have plans to do a 5K, probably, I think, in the springs, and selected people will be running with this backpack. They will be stopping at the chosen orphanage, unloading the backpack while the kids are waiting outside to take these backpacks. I'm hoping to get something up here in Woodland Park, because there are orphans are, there's not a lot of awareness on what's out there, who's out there, and what they're doing. So we're trying to bring awareness to that. If you catch kids at a young age, just like martial arts, hopefully you can, in martial arts, you can build their character, build their respect. You catch them at a young age as orphans or foster kids, you can strengthen them so they hopefully don't go into trafficking, sexting, all of the, the horror stories that you hear about what orphans and what foster kids do. They don't know any better. So when they're taken in by an adult, they don't know that that's not their lifestyle. So they think that they are going to be forever trapped in this kind of lifestyle. So we're going to be trying to raise the awareness of them and just move it up. Again, with the homeless, with the suicide, with everything that's out there. I mean, how many can say that they have ever heard anyone in a discussion, even at a bar, talking about orphans or foster kids? You don't. Why? So we're trying to bring it up a little bit more with the importance that any other plight, animals, PTSD, veterans, any of those groups have. So there's information available in my studio, online, Colorado Phoenix Project. You can look at that on Facebook. We also have a website, but we're going to be coming on strong. Okay, we have a message, we have a mission. So thank you very much for this opportunity, everyone. Any questions, please look me up. Thank you very much.
Tom, real quick,
Yes.
can you just let everybody know where your studio is?
Yes, I am in the City Market Center underneath the Cucina Mountain Air Cucina Italian restaurant. Okay, I'm there 6 days a week. You can stop at any time. 6 to 6 usually is when I'm there. Very short day. On Saturday, but you'll see me at Fridays, you'll see me at National Night Out, you'll see me at a few things, so pretty visible. So please, look us up, see how we can work together to spread this message.
Tom, I just want to point out, I had coffee with Tom and he shared about his project with me. And you should check out this backpack. That is a substantially nice, heavy duty. It'll last, it's durable. It's a really nice backpack. So it's a really quality project that you're putting together. And thank you for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we've got the opportunity to do some changes, and if we change and save one life, like anything, that's one more life saved. We're just raising awareness. So think about it tonight when you go home, and what they go through.
I just had a quick question
Sure.
too. Have you connected at all with CASA of Teller County?
Not yet.
Okay.
We just assembled our team of about 12 people. So I'm going to be in everyone's face. I'm going to be very visible. So
Good.
CASA is another group to add, but we're just reaching out to everyone, and anyone that has one idea can give 1% of their time, can give $1.
Awesome.
That's all it takes.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Peter Treelor.
Hi, everybody. Thank you first and foremost for doing what you do. I sure appreciate you, especially those of you that I agree with. So I feel kind of silly bringing up a topic such as mundane as parking, especially after John's presentation on the Phoenix project. But nonetheless, that's what I'm here to chat with you about. And incidentally, John, I'd be honored to post that on my business front. I'm a two-decade Teller County resident, live in Woodland Park. My business is A to Z Storage over here, so I got some good visibility. Thank you. Thank you. With that being said, yeah, just a little bit of a parking issue. I really just want to bring it to everybody's attention. So when you see it, hopefully you can kind of see what I'm talking about. The area here I'm speaking about is the intersection of Fairview and Grace. So just south of the 24, just behind where the Hungry Bear is and the Beer Works, right next to the car wash, My Business, which is A to Z Storage, we're having a real an issue with the lack of parking. So, and what's happening is that cars are mounting up. It's not like a once a week farmer's market thing. It's like every morning at 8 and every throughout the entire day, the road is literally packed. We've got cars, I swear one guy parked it far enough down the culvert that he could probably do an oil change. He had enough accessible. So somebody's gonna get stuck. And that little stop sign there, taking a right, taking a left, it's really hard to see. So I just kind of wanted it to bring to your attention. It's not only affecting the business like myself, because now my customers are battling to try and figure out where they can park to come in and do business with us. But it's also my neighbors as well, which my neighbors are residential. So I'm in the DDA district, but the houses across from me are residential. And my neighbors they actually have people parking in their front yard. So and blocking their driveway. So they're taking it upon themselves to basically put no parking signs in the yard. One guy put cones out. I think the boys and girls in blue came by and said, you can't do that. And that was fine. So he decided to fake a problem with his car. Every morning he'd pull it out and pop the hood up, pretends that it was broken so he could get out of his driveway. So anyway, that's it. I just wanted to, yeah, hopefully I didn't send him down the river. But thank you for your time. I sure appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dan Taylor.
Hi, Dan Taylor. I'm a resident of Woodland Park, and I'm also owner of a car wash at 150 East Grace Avenue, and this is very much tied to what Pete just talked about, because Pete and I talked about this earlier this week, and that's really why he came to speak in favor of this issue. But I'm here to present a possible solution, and I'll be pretty brief. My car wash at the corner of Fairview and Grace Avenue would be a great place to turn into a parking lot. It's not currently on the market to be sold, but I would be willing to sell it to the city at a fair market price. And if anyone wants to, I just want to be clear that my business, we don't use, all of my customers, myself and my staff, all use parking on our own property. We don't use the public parking. But I've owned this property for 13 years. It's very much like Pete described, and every year it gets just a little bit worse, a little bit worse. And the street, there's not a single demarcated public parking spot anywhere, even on the streets, with any kind of lines or the space for these cars to park and still allow two-way traffic. And when there's cars parked on both sides of the street, which is not permitted, it's very difficult to get one vehicle down that street, and it's a busy street right there. And so, like I said, I actually live in the neighborhood, and so me and my family drive up and down there all the time to get to the stoplight, as do many other residents in the area. And it's a hassle, and it's possibly a safety concern as well. But also, I just want to say that as far as selling the car wash, I'm very neutral on that. I don't have to sell it. It's a very good functioning business and profitable, and we enjoy it, and we will continue to run it. But if the city wants to buy it, I'd certainly entertain that as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Peter Sprates. Hope I'm saying that correct. Peter, anyone out there? Oh, Peter is on Zoom. Go ahead, sir. Sprates. He's on there. Could you promote him? I'm gonna take care of that one. Go ahead, sir. We can hear you. Mr. Sprates, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Gotcha.
Yeah, hi. I'll introduce myself. I'm Peter Sprates. I own the property at 111 East Midland. And like the two previous people that just spoke, wanting to talk about the parking problem. I have a tenant, which is Hungry Bear Restaurant, which I would assume everybody knows where it is and what it is. And our neighbor Beer Works uses our parking. I bought the property last January and didn't understand how much of a parking problem there was in the area. I'm becoming educated about it. And I just wanted to introduce myself tonight and let the council know that for me as a private property owner, the fact that a neighboring property is running their business strictly using my parking lot is something that I'm not happy with. And I'm looking for ways to alleviate that problem. It sounds like there's problems in the area that have nothing to do with me for parking also. So I probably will want to get more involved with whatever the city is going to do. If the city buys the property from the car wash that joins my, that might alleviate some of the parking problems that we have. I don't know if it'll alleviate all of them, but it seems like I'm a newcomer in town, so I don't want to tell anybody what to do or how to do it. But I do want to identify the problem. For me, as a new property owner in Woodland Park, the number one problem I have, and it looks like it's going to impact my ability to re-rent my property. My tenants are unhappy. The number one problem I have is the lack of parking at Beer Works. Beer Works on a typical day, I can see by cameras 30 or 40 cars when my businesses are closed, 30 or 40 cars of people walking into Beer Works. The delivery trucks are destroying my parking lot. The heavy delivery trucks are creating big potholes. And of course, Beer Works doesn't pay anything to maintain the parking or pay property taxes or insurance. So I'm looking for ways to stop the use of Beer Works using our parking lot. But at the same time, try and be a good neighbor to everybody. The businesses that are my tenants, they want to be well thought of in the community as well. So we're looking for solutions. And I just wanted to introduce myself tonight because I'm going to have to, it seems to be thrust upon me by the neighbor that this is a problem I must deal with. So tonight's just an introduction and ask for some consideration in whatever the city can do to help alleviate this problem.
Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
Yes, we have someone that did not sign up to speak but has a hand raised. So
Okay.
it's up to you whether you'd like to acknowledge.
Sure. And Peter, just you're new. So just so you know, our council's guidelines are that we take public comment and we say thank you. And then if we have something that we can direct staff to do or accomplish or look up or look into, they'll do that. Or and oftentimes that can be directed during council reports, but not during public comment.
No problem. And I guess I'll mute now and say goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the community.
Thank you again.
I just have a first name of Linda.
Okay.
Eric's going to promote her. Pardon me? Nope, her hand's still up. Oh, now she's gone. Here, she's in Zoom now. Go ahead, Linda. And can you tell us your last name? She's muted. You may want to unmute.
I bet that's better, isn't it?
It is.
My last name is Martin, Martin. I'm a resident of Woodland Park. And I'm calling to thank the chief of police for allowing me to meet a hero this past Saturday. He gave Woodland Park the privilege of meeting Zachariah, the 14-year-old founder of Running for Heroes. Zachariah runs each time a law enforcement officer is killed in the line of duty within the United States. And Zachariah made his first trip to Colorado into Woodland Park on Saturday. It was amazing to meet him. I got the privilege of sitting with him for about a half hour just talking to him, and he's an impressive young man. I hope all young people are the way Zachariah is. Not only does Running for Heroes do a mile run each time a law enforcement officer is killed in the line of duty, they also have injured first responder grant programs. They have beneficiary funds for families of fallen officers and first responders. They have a canine grant program. They have a tribute wall at their headquarters in Florida. They also have a youth runner scholarship program. So a 14-year-old is not just running a mile each time a law enforcement officer is killed. This entire organization recognizes the significance of our first responders. So I'd like to say I appreciate the chief for bringing this privilege to Woodland Park this past Saturday. I also have a couple of words to say about moving the Cog railway car down to Walmart, a field by Walmart. This is a historic part of Woodland Park, part of Colorado. And I think it's a shame and shameful that people actually want to relocate this railway car that was donated to the city. And if I remember correctly, the owner of it paid to have it moved to its current location. They want to move it down to a field by Walmart. I think that's a shame. Thank you all.
Thank you.
That concludes the public comment for this evening.
Okay, very good. We are off to we have nothing for 7, nothing for 8. So we're on 9, public hearings, 9A, ordinance number 1454. And we have our senior planner, CJ Gates, here to present it. And remember, council, this is quasi judicial. So stay on topic.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Let me just pull up my presentation. We can get started here. All right, good evening, Council. CJ Gates, representing the City of Woodland Park Planning Department. The application before you tonight is a request by LKA Partners and Core Electric Cooperative for approval of a conditional use permit to renovate and expand the core facility within the City of Woodland Park. The subject property, Lot 1R of the Cary subdivision, filing 2, is located west of Highway 67 and north of Evergreen Heights Drive. The site is bordered by commercially zoned property, occupied Diamond Campground to the north. Directly south is land zoned public/semi-public land and suburban residential, where the Teller County Fire Protection and the Church of Nazarene reside. To the east and west of the subject property are single-family residential developments, zoned suburban residential. The subject property is zoned community commercial, as seen on the right-hand side of the slide. The subject property has been incorporated into the city of Woodland Park since the 1970s. CORE, previously known as IREA, received their first building permit on this property in 1979 and has been operating within the city since then. Staff has researched this property and have found no records of a conditional use permit previously issued for the site and use. On the right-hand side of the slide is a site plan with the existing layout of the subject property. As you can see, currently there is an office, warehouse, and covered vehicle storage on the east side of the parcel. The office building is open to the public, though CORE suggests that customers pay their bill online and not in person at this specific facility. Also existing on the subject property is an additional exterior storage area for equipment on the CORE linemen, for the CORE linemen to work from this facility, as well as pole storage. The current proposal is for a conditional use permit to allow the existing operation and its proposed additions to the facility in order to enhance the operation at this location. Staff has researched the site's operation and has determined that CORE's facilities, existing and proposed operations fall within the contractor and construction services use, which is listed as a conditional use within the community commercial zone district. Here on this slide is the proposed site plan that we received from the applicants. As you can see on the right-hand side of the slide is Highway 67. The proposal includes the existing building with the additions, and this is labeled as Building A. And this Building A is the one that you see from Highway 67. The proposed heated parking, which is Building B, proposed unheated parking, Building C, and a proposed parking canopy, which is labeled Building D. Also on the subject property, the CORE facility is also proposing a lineman training area on the east or the west side of the site, as well as a detention pond. The applicant is requesting approval of the CUP with a total of 4 structures and has provided information regarding why all of the buildings are necessary for the operation of this facility, which provides an essential service for the community. Staff is viewing the property as having 2 separate principal uses, which are the administrative side carrying towards the on-site operations and the warehouse catering towards the off-site operations, where CORE's employees stage vehicles and materials to then go work off-site. Each principal use may have its own primary structure as well as 2 accessory structures. I would like to point out that the applicant is proposing over 100,000 square feet of landscaping on the site, which exceeds the minimum requirement. Half of the minimum required landscape must abut adjacent residentially zoned areas per our city code. The proposed landscape plan includes a total of 34,477 square feet of landscaping instead of the required 37,033 for 133 square foot adjacent to the residentially zoned land to the west. These numbers do not include the additional square footage for the landscaping along the south property line adjacent to the church, which is also zoned residential. The remainder of landscaping occurs around the remainder of the perimeter of the site. Also, as seen on the site plan, in order to maximize buffering to the site from the surrounding properties, the applicant is proposing a new opaque 6-foot chain link fence and is planning landscaping buffering around all sides of the site. Lastly, here in a few slides, we'll talk about the aesthetics of building B and C on the site plan. And as previously mentioned, as you can see, Highway 67 is on the right-hand side of the slide here. And when you're driving on Highway 67, you can sort of see building B very quickly and building C, just a portion of that. The 2 images you see on this slide are renderings of the proposed elevations for the renovated and expanded administrative building. The updated structure is proposed to have a total height of 20 feet and includes updated building materials in order to enhance the aesthetics, including stucco, concrete masonry units, and metal trim. The applicant also provided an additional rendering of the proposed entrance to the administration building to showcase the aesthetically pleasing proposed renovations to the public entrance that will be highly visible from Highway 67. The renderings here on this slide are the proposed elevations for the heated parking area, which will have a total height of 28 feet and 2 3/4 inches. The rendering outlines the construction materials on building B as well. As you can see on the top rendering here, on the right-hand side would be the stucco material, and on the left-hand side is full metal paneling. Each side of the structure will have a wainscot, as you can see here on this slide. The bottom rendering here is the east side elevation. So this would be the elevation that you can clearly see from Highway 67, which also includes the stucco. The application complies with the criteria listed here on the slide, which are the proposal must demonstrate a direct need to the city, must not endanger public health and welfare, may not injure the value of vicinity properties, and the development must be in harmony with the area which it is proposed. The proposed development needs to conform with the provisions of city plans, standards, and requirements of all city regulations, and shall be designed to accommodate on and off-site traffic. The application complies with the provisions 5 and 6 on the slide, while it may comply with number 6. The applicant is requesting the CUP to be approved with 2 principal buildings and 2 accessory buildings. Staff provided a detailed city staff redline comments to the applicant, and staff has called out issues within the applicant's site plan, including the size of water main needed to serve the administration building, as well as the design on the proposed sidewalk. Comments must be addressed during the construction phase portion of this application. The proposed application needs to be designed, constructed, and maintained appropriately, and be supplied with adequate water supply. And it also needs to be designed to not increase public danger of fire. The application complies with the items 8 through 10 on the slide. Lastly, the development is required to adhere to the Woodland Park architectural design standards. The provision may comply. As previously mentioned, the concern is with buildings B and C, where the original proposal included all metal materials. The application will comply if the applicant moves forward with the updated stucco wainscot that you saw on the previous slide. Staff also reviewed section 18.34 of the city code when reviewing this application. That full analysis was within your staff report and is very redundant to the criteria that we just reviewed. In accordance with the conditional use permit, the applicant is also required to submit a preliminary site plan along with other preliminary document plans. As far as process goes, staff makes comments on the preliminary documents during the CUP process, and it gets resolved during the final site plan, which is essentially construction documents. This is a process that is done administratively and is approved within the planning department. The application was referred to the city and outside referral agencies on the slide. Staff issued a red line comment, as previously mentioned, to the applicant. And the Northeast Teller County Fire Protection District submitted a comment on April 28th, 2023, stating that the application for site plan meets fire district approval, and the district will comment on the ZDP process when they see that site plan with water plans for the fire hydrant placement. They also noted that Colorado Springs Fire Department will review the building plans and conduct the inspections. Staff has received no public comments on this application. The Planning Commission heard this application and voted to approve to recommend to City Council approval of a conditional use permit and site plan to renovate and expand the core electric cooperative facility in the community commercial zone, subject to the following conditions. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant must submit for and receive approval of a final site plan for a permitted use, including landscaping, drainage, architectural elevations, access, etc. Infrastructure zoning development permit. Fees in lieu shall be submitted pursuant to municipal code section 18.33170. ZDPs and building permits for all new construction, including civil and construction drawings, drainage report, landscaping plan, final site plan, floor plans and elevations, grading, sediment, and erosion control with BMPs, final utility plan, final photometric plan, and Colorado stormwater permit and stormwater management. A final updated site plan resolving all issues identified on the red line plans must be approved by the city before any zoning development permit can be issued. All development impact fees must be paid prior to any ZDP issuance, including but not limited to tap fees, stormwater capital improvement fees, transportation capital fees, and fees shall be calculated concurrent with the ZDP review. The applicant must submit documentation from the Colorado Department of Public Health, which is CDPHE, demonstrating the proper removal of the underground fuel storage tanks. 5, prior to the final site plan approval, the applicant must identify a different material for the wainscot on the heated vehicle parking and warehouse parking building B and unheated parking building C, as well as work with staff to ensure all proposed structures adhere to the Woodland Park aesthetic. And lastly, the Planning Commission added a condition number 6 during that hearing, which was unless determined by the city attorney to be necessary, the ordinance approving this conditional use permit shall acknowledge city council approval of proposed number of accessory buildings, notwithstanding city code section 18.21.045. I would like to note that condition number 6 on the slide was not included within the ordinance that you all received in your packet. As per the condition, planning staff met with legal counsel and we were directed that condition number 6 was not necessary to be included within your packet. Finally, the staff recommendation is to approve ordinance number 1454, series 2023, an ordinance approving a conditional use permit with a site plan review for the purpose of allowing renovation and expansion of the core electric cooperative facilities located at 800 North Highway 67 in the community commercial zone. I appreciate your time, council, and we also have the applicant here tonight if you guys have any questions for them.
Thank you. Is there anything the applicant would like to add at this time, or? You don't have to, but if you'd like to. Sure.
Yes, my name is Doug Hahn. I'm with LKA Partners Architectural Firm. And as CJ mentioned, we did receive a variety of comments based on our initial submittal. And we have incorporated all those comments into our ZDP documents, which we did actually submit to the city a week ago yesterday.
Very good.
So we are, again, doing what we can to comply with their request. And I think that as they review the ZDP, they'll see that that is the case.
Excellent. Council, do you have any questions for either parties?
Go ahead.
Sure.
I just have a quick question on the area that's going to be the lineman training. Is that training going to occur during regular business hours, or is that going to be problematic for the residents behind that property line?
All right, well, my understanding, it's daylight hours sort of training, but so yes, it wouldn't have the lights on at 2 in the morning.
Okay, that was my concern. Thanks.
And my question is probably more for a combination of CJ and Kip. I saw you have a tap fee in there and you said there's the expansion of the water. So how does that impact the usage of that property and what we have allocated in terms of tap fees, just to kind of give us.
Current property already has a tap. It's just verifying that that tap is adequate to serve the new use with water fixtures, and it should be. And then for fire protection, they're simply extending a fire line into the property with a fire hydrant at the end. So no additional water needed.
Just protection.
Yep.
Thank you. No more questions.
Thank you. Suzanne, do we have anyone from the audience signed up for this item?
No.
Okay. Council, if you have no further questions, can I get a motion?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1454, series 2023. An ordinance approving a conditional use permit with a site plan review for the purpose of allowing renovation and expansion of the core electric cooperative facilities located at 800 North Highway 67 in the community commercial CC zone.
I'll second. Thank you, council. You may vote.
Suzanne, this is Councilmember Neal.
Yes,
My
sir.
vote is, it's yes.
Thank you.
Suzanne, mine's died, so I'll just vote yes.
Thank you.
I'll try to log back in.
Okay. Thank you, council. Motion is passed unanimously.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're off to item 10A, approve a rock, gem and jewelry show, TUP, a request from Kim Packham. And we have our planning director presenting, Karen Schminke.
Good evening. Yes, this is a request from Kim Peckham, the applicant, and the property owner, Ute Pass Saddle Club Incorporated, for on-site vendor camping from August 14th through the 21st of this year in association with the Woodland Park Rock, Gem and Jewelry Show. That's a special event that will happen at this location during those part of those dates. And when we're talking about camping within self-contained units in designated locations other than a licensed campground, this is a situation where this does come to City Council for your review and approval. This is the 13th year at this location that this event has happened. And it's approximately 45 vendors that come and are on site there from August 14th through the 21st. It's about 7 nights. The show is a shorter time period. And the camping is limited to the show vendors and event volunteers. And all of those campsites are within the designated area for each of those vendors. So it does help them with their own security for their merchandise and the vendor convenience. So we did do public notice associated with this above and beyond what is actually required by code. So we did not receive any written comments or concerns back in association with that notice. So with that, the recommendation is for approval of camping on the Ute Pass Saddle Club grounds in conjunction with the Woodland Park Rock, Gem and Jewelry Show special event, subject to 10 conditions. So camping shall occur only between 9 a.m. August 14th through 9 p.m. August 21st. 2, camping shall be for event volunteers and vendors only, with no more than 45 camping units permitted on site at any given time. 3, camping units shall include tents, camper trailers, recreational vehicles, and pickup campers. 4, camping units shall not be connected to city water or sewer and shall be self-contained. 5, on and off-site trash, garbage, or debris shall be cleaned up during and upon cessation of camping. On-site cleanup shall be coordinated with and enforced by the property owner and event coordinator. 6, the event coordinator shall be responsive to complaints received, if any. 7, all lighting for the camping and event areas, if any, shall be downcast, fully shielded, and turned off by 9 p.m. each night. 8, all generators, if any, shall be turned off by 9 p.m. each night. 9, the event coordinator and all campers shall at all times be subject to municipal code section 9.41. That's the section that regulates noise. And then the final condition is at no time shall campers, vendors, event volunteers, or guests and participants obstruct access to the City of Woodland Park lift station, which is in that immediate area.
Okay, very good. Questions, comments?
I
Ms.
had one
QJ.
question. When these events occur, and I've been here for several years, and I know that they're not a really party crowd, but do we have a means of notifying them of the current fire bans if they're in effect?
This is where I rely on my staff. So if there's one in place, at the time that we issue the temporary use permit, we would call that out as part of that. But if something arises over the next month, before that event, I would need to probably touch base with my office staff about how we would make sure that they were in the loop on that. And it is potentially as simple as us doing an email that said, hey, by the way, please be aware.
Thank you.
Karen, is that the applicant's back? Yeah, I think Ms.
They wanted to
Packham's
speak.
back here. You're welcome to come up to the podium.
I just wanted to say, we live in Dubai, so we're totally aware of all the fire bans.
That's all right. Okay, any other questions? Suzanne, do you have anyone signed up?
No, ma'am.
All right, council, can I get a motion?
I move to approve Kim Packman's and the Ute Pass Saddle Club's camping on the grounds at 19250 East US Highway 24 in conjunction with Woodland Park Rock, Gem and Jewelry Show, subjects to the detailed conditions that are
laid out in our packet.
I'll second.
Council, you may vote.
Suzanne, this is Councilmember Neal. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, council. Motion is passed unanimously.
Thank you. All right, we are off to item 10B, which is discussion and appointment of an interim city manager. And council did have an executive session. And we had a discussion with our financial director, who is Aaron Vasilati, and he has stepped up and offered to take the interim position as our city manager is leaving. And no decisions were made in executive session, but we've come down here to say that we had that discussion. It went well with Mr. Vasilati and council. And so council, if I could have one of you introduce a motion, or if there's any discussion you wanted to have prior to the motion. Or is there anyone signed up for this item?
No.
Okay, didn't think so.
Just before we make that motion, I would like to invite Mr. Vasilati to come up to the mic and just let the community
Sure.
have some sense of him.
Thank you, council. Yes, so I have been the finance director here for almost the last 2 years. I've served in a few different roles here. A few months ago, I was promoted to the administrative services director here. So in my role as finance director, I oversee finance, which is budget, general ledger, the annual audit, financial reporting. I also oversee IT, all aspects of IT here. I oversee fleet management, I oversee procurement and grants. So that's been my experience here for the last 2 years. It's been excellent. My family here, we've integrated very well. We do live in the city. It's been a blessing to us so far. So I hope to continue to provide continuity and leadership during this transition period. And I look forward to it.
May I? Oh, I'm sorry, Robert. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so per our executive session discussions, I'd just like to move that we approve Aaron Vasilati as the interim city manager with a 12% salary increase to what his current position is.
And I'll second that. And just to further discussion and just for some clarity, the council did have a conversation amongst themselves and then invited Mr. Vasilati in to have that conversation with him so that we were able to come to some consensus on what we thought would work in both directions. And so there was no decision made, but we did have a general consensus among the council that we would like for Mr. Vasilati to serve in the interim while the council does a search and tries to find candidates to consider for the position on a permanent basis. And we understand that Mr. Vasilati intends to apply for that and is interested in that position going forward, but we would put that out on a search and Mr. Vasilati would apply as if any other candidate would apply. But in the interim, we need someone to serve in that role. And he seems to be the best suited and willing to take that on in addition to what he does. And having been in his shoes for 17 years, it's admirable and he won't get much sleep or peace because he has a lot on his plate. But there is a great staff behind him that will pick up some of that load and help him through that during the interim. And because Michael's a short timer. And I mean that in the nicest way. So anyway, that's kind of how things happened. And it was a very good discussion with the council and with Mr. Vasilati. And that's kind of where we landed to bring to the public for a vote. Thank you.
Well said.
Mayor, this is Councilmember Neal.
Sure.
I just want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Case for summarizing what took place. I'm glad that you did that so that the citizens understood a lot of what the discussions were in the executive session. And it was bi-directional. There were negotiations on many things to include salary. I'm just glad Ms. Case covered that for everybody. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
So council, we have a motion to approve Aaron Vassalotti as interim city manager and a 12% increase in salary. This would take effect on, we would swear Mr. Vassalotti in at the August 3rd council meeting. That'll be Michael's last meeting, so it'll be a peaceful transfer of power.
Very good.
And I have a motion and second. Council may vote.
This is Councilmember Neal. My vote is yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Council motion is passed unanimously.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Aaron.
Welcome. Yeah.
Right, we are off to item 10C, which is approval of the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Master Plan. And our presenter is Cindy Keating and Logan Simpson.
Thank you, Mayor LaBar and council members. I'm actually going to pass the presentation on to our consultant, Taylor Brohill from Logan Simpson, and our Park and Rec Advisory Board Chair, Jeff Webb.
Thank you very much, Cindy. Council, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jeff Webb. I'm on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. I currently serve as the chair. I'm in my third term and it's quite an honor, and particularly on days like today. This is a very exciting day for all of us, and I hope for all of the community as well, because we get to take a vote on the new Parks Master Plan. A Parks Master Plan, for the folks in the community that don't know, is a guiding strategic document that really lays out goals and priorities for the park system for the next decade plus. It's a very important document. It really shapes the future of our Parks Department. And I think, it's something that has a really big impact on our community. And when we think about what defines Woodland Park in our life here, there's so many things that add up to a great life in Woodland Park. But for me, and I know for many others, our park system is one of the real gems of our community. So when we think about the trails, when we think about the parks, when we think about all the recreation programming, all the activities, these are all things that make a real material impact on families. They make an economic difference in our community. They're really a big part of what it means to live in our community. So this Parks Master Plan is a document that is going to help shape the future. And our board, I'm here representing our board, and we are extraordinarily excited because this is the first whole cloth master plan since 2007. So this is a really big step for our community. This master plan is particularly significant because the input of the community really shaped this master plan. There were nearly 1,500 points of engagement with the community through community surveys, booth at the marketplace, meeting with business leaders, stakeholder groups. So the recommendations that you see in this plan really truly are the recommendations of the community. The community was heard. Their priorities are reflected in this plan. And I think that is really, really exciting. I shared earlier during a work session that the master plans that are the most successful for communities really are those that reflect the will of the community. The voice of the citizens are reflected in the goals and the priorities. And this master plan absolutely achieves that. So I think that's something that we can be really proud of. And I think that's something that will also help citizens to really have a sense of ownership and excitement. I know when I talk to community members, they're very excited for what can be. And they may just go to the park, they may take their kids, they may do the picnic. They don't know about this plan, but they know that parks are central to their kind of well-being in the community. And this is a plan that will make that better. So we are extraordinarily excited. And I'd like to take a moment to recognize the other members of our board because they all put in a whole lot of work. So if it doesn't embarrass you all too much, maybe we could stand as I say your name. So we have Terry Baldwin. She put in a lot more work than that stand would suggest. Danuta Brown. Yes, thank you. Don DeZellum. Kathy Evans. Excellent. Chris Gonzalez. And Jerry Smith. Excellent. And, our role as a board we really represent the community, right? We hear from our neighbors, we hear from citizens. In this plan, we worked hand in hand with Logan Simpson and city staff, really helping to shape priorities, to listen to the community, to bring feedback, to help inform the plan. Once the plan was developed, we went through, we provided edits, feedback, really helped shape this plan in, I think, a very meaningful way. So the board played a big role. We're very proud of that role, but I think much more important than our role is what I mentioned earlier, the role of the community. I really can't emphasize that enough, that this really does reflect the will of the community. So it's something that's very, very exciting. So in the spirit of now what is Parks and Recreation Month, I just want to say thank you very much for the opportunity that you all are providing for us to present this plan. And I should note, for your benefit and for the community's benefit, the Park and Recreation Advisory Board did review this plan, the draft plan, last week, and we voted unanimously to approve it and recommend approval to you all. So with that, I'd like to introduce Taylor Broyhill from Logan Simpson and thank her for her work. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Jeff. It's really truly been a pleasure over the past year to get to know and to work with the Woodland Park community. Again, I'm Taylor Broyhill. I am an associate planner with Logan Simpson Planning and Design, and just excited to briefly share with you in the next few minutes what the Parks and Rec Advisory Board and the Parks and Recreation Department have been working very hard on over the past year. So I'll provide just a few highlights of the process and the outcomes, and also want to acknowledge that Logan Simpson, Principal Landscape Architect Jana McKenzie is also joined online just to show her support for the adoption, as well as be available to answer questions if needed. So when we started this planning process, we did so with a strong purpose, a clear purpose for what we wanted to get out of this plan. And that was a fourfold purpose. So first, to update and refine the vision for parks, recreation, open space, and trails based on meaningful community engagement and a true understanding of the needs and the priorities for the community, especially acknowledging how they may have changed since the first master plan was adopted and since it was updated in 2018. Second, we wanted to address the current challenges that the department is facing and prepare to meet increasing demands in the future. We wanted to especially also leverage regional partnerships through this planning process. And so that was integral to the formation of a lot of the recommendations of this plan by assembling a technical advisory committee that consisted of key parks, recreation, trails, and open space partners in the city and in the region. And then finally, we wanted to establish priorities for investment and really provide a concrete and actionable plan for the city and its partners to work towards implementing over the next 10 years. And so working together with staff and with the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, we endeavored to achieve that over the past 12 months. And so that is what led us to produce the plan that you are considering tonight. So Jeff highlighted community engagement, and we've been so fortunate through this process to have a really robust participation from the community, both through our engagement opportunities online and in person. And as Jeff mentioned, we've had a total of 1,420 instances of public engagement and interactions with members of the community. And that has really been instrumental in informing the development of 6 overarching goals that really provide the framework for the plan for the vision for Parks and Recreation over the next 10 years. And these goals, for those who are familiar with the previous Parks, Recreation, Open Space, and Trails Master Plan, will sound a little bit familiar. They carry forward many of those timeless themes that are still relevant today, but they've also been updated to make sure that they are reflective of the community's values, as we've heard through the public engagement process. So the plan makes recommendations according to 6 categories: parks, open space and greenways, recreation and aquatics programming, trails, the UPass Cultural Center and special events, and sustainability. And within those 6 categories, the plan also identifies 20 different projects across those categories. 8 of those have emerged as the priority projects when we workshopped priorities with city staff, as well as the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board and the community in our final phase of public engagement, both online and in person.
And so it's important to note that these priorities are not listed in any particular order on the slide or in the plan. So they are consistent among, again, the prioritization that we conducted through the process, but the plan acknowledges that priorities can and likely will shift and should be reevaluated annually based on new opportunities and needs. So finally, I'll just close by ultimately thanking the Woodland Park community truly for their participation and support in this plan. We ultimately feel that we were successful in achieving that fourfold purpose for the planning process and creating this actionable roadmap for the future of parks, recreation, trails, and open space in Woodland Park. And feel that the plan is firmly grounded in the community's vision. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present this to you tonight for adoption. And I can answer any questions.
Thank you, council. Questions or comments?
I just do want to say that congratulations to everybody for the hard work y'all did. Really appreciate it.
Suzanne, do we have anyone signed up for this topic?
We do not.
Okay. Cindy?
I would just like to thank the park board and Logan Simpson for all of their hard work on this plan, and council for allowing us to go through this process as well. And tonight I'd like to recommend adoption of the Parks, Recreation, Trails, and Open Space Master Plan.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you all for your hard work too. We do appreciate it, and the outreach that you did and everything. It was a great outcome for us. So thank you.
Great job, you guys. You did a great job. It was fun to watch you work through the process.
For those of you who weren't here earlier, we had a work session with these folks prior to this evening's council meeting, and it was great. I mean, just like very exciting to see so much engagement. In fact, Michael, is this the most engagement we've seen on any project that we've done since we've had the ability to do so?
Yep.
Yeah. Good job.
All right, council, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Master Plan.
I'll second.
Before we vote, I have a question. Are we approving or just endorsing?
Adopting?
Yes, we're actually asking for adoption.
Okay, so I'll amend it to adopt.
The second will agree to the amendment.
Let's get Tom back here with the pack.
Yeah.
Okay, I've made the amendment, adopt the Parks Trail Open Space Plan. Council, you may vote.
Is Councilmember Neal able to verbally vote?
Councilmember Neal, can you give us a verbal vote, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My vote is yes. For some reason, the unmute was not responding, but my vote is yes.
Thank you, council. Congratulations. This is passed unanimously.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're off to item 10D, which is approval of policy for memorial donations and facility naming, and our planning. Oh,
It's a Cindy show
it
tonight.
is. It's our Parks and Rec Director, Cindy Keating, not our
Yes,
planning director.
she's back. Thank you. Tonight, I just wanted to bring this policy to your attention and hope for your approval. The city is experiencing an increase in from various city organizations, individuals, civic groups, and others to donate memorials and monuments to city facilities. In an effort to preserve the aesthetics and integrity of the city properties, it is our desire to create a process in which we'll outline the requirements for potential projects and donations. This process will require a complete application to be reviewed by the city engineer and the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to determine if the criteria has been met. In an effort to consolidate processes, this process has incorporated the already established facility naming and memorials for mayor's policy that we created, I'm guessing 2 or 3 years ago. So within this application, I will just set colors, aesthetics, if there's any engineering that needs to be completed, just to protect anything that's coming into our city facilities to make sure that they will be safe and that they're following our code and regulations. So tonight, we just ask that you approve the policy for the memorial donation and facility naming.
Council questions or comments? I'm not seeing any. Suzanne, do you have any hands?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Council, can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve the policy for memorial donations and facility naming as presented.
I'll second.
Council, you may vote.
Suzanne, my vote is yes.
Thank you. Thank you, council. Motion has passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
All right, so it's only 8 o'clock, you guys, and we're off to reports. So good job,
job.
everyone.
Well, we did start at 4:30, Hillary.
Well, we did, but the audience. Not everyone in the audience. All right, I just have some dates to announce. And also, before I do all the dates, listening to the audience speak tonight about the parking lot and street parking issue, with having an offer like that brought to us about the city potentially purchasing private property, I would like to see if I could get a consensus, if we could ask staff to look into that. Potentially, I don't know if we need a parking study. I don't know if there just needs to be negotiations and we need second opinions on price, things like that. I don't know if I could have council be interested in having a consensus to direct staff to look into something like that.
I would absolutely like to know what the financial benefit would be for our city to have more parking on that side of the road, to be honest with you.
Well,
I
and
think that'd be a benefit.
Yeah, I have no problem with consenting to it.
I would just.
What
wanna
are we consenting to? I would recommend that we do a parking study that has been done before. An offer to the city to buy a piece of private property that could be purchased by private owners, could be purchased by Beer Works, or could be purchased by the new facility owner of the building that Hungry Bear is in. Were we the only ones that made that offer? But knowing that we have adequate parking on the north side of 24, but it would appear inadequate parking on the south side, I would like to see a study about other possible places that the city might consider for public parking.
Yeah, I just want to remind us, was it a couple of years ago? We had a property owner bring us the property over by Joni's and asking the city if they wanted to purchase that piece of property. And I think when we went through that whole process, we determined that it wasn't insufficient financial benefit for the city to do that. So maybe we can resurrect some of that and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd just like to share that I do a parking study on that road every day. At least about 6 to 8 times a day, because that is the route to my office. And as was mentioned by one of the folks that spoke tonight, oftentimes you can't get a car down when it's parked on both sides of the road. And it also goes down in front of the 2 new 2-story homes that were built there. And I know at one point, many years ago, Sally Riley, our previous planning director, had identified those 2 locations as prime location for the city to invest in some public parking there. And that's where I see the benefit from just my point of view. I see the benefit of it being public parking because it's harming more than just one, but it's not harming. More than one location, business, homeowner in that area is having significant inconvenience and overrun of people parking on the street, which is right of way and public and is not designated as no parking. I also, because as a citizen and business owner driving that road every day, all day, it's significant from my point of view. So I don't have a problem with it either. I think a parking study is going to take a long time, and there's not a whole lot of land left on that side of the street other than the DDA that is going to be developing. And I'm not an expert, but I experience it every day, and we've heard some testimony tonight that supports that as well. So not to say that we don't have to do a parking study, but I'd sure like to give staff direction to start looking at it and exploring the potential of doing that. Thank you for entertaining my comments.
So
I'm not a parking study person, but I do drive it a lot.
Yeah, so I could say, I wouldn't mind doing it, looking into doing a parking study and maybe just directing staff to see what the option would be to purchase the property. We don't have to do it, obviously, but we could at least get an idea of what we're looking at.
We could also ask a commercial broker to do a broker opinion of price.
That's what we did last time with the Joni's
Right.
piece.
I think that's a great idea. That's a great place to start. And talk with Mr. Taylor and see what his thoughts are.
I agree. A parking study, I think, is a good long-term solution to
Yes.
understand available parking and whether or not we want to go the route of parking meters, for instance. Parking meters on one side of 24 or not on the other. Those are all options, but for an individual to come to the city council and say, I'm willing to sell my property to the city to solve this problem, has he made that same offer to the owners of property that will use it the most? And will that particular piece of property provide public parking for more than the customers at those two establishments?
Mhm.
If that's the case, then why would the city want to take the step of purchasing property that I think, private businesses should consider first?
You have a point.
Yeah, I share that, but there's another part of it I wouldn't mind knowing in the study is it seasonal? Is that a seasonal issue, or is that something that's all year round? So, I can understand if it's summertime, absolutely. So that'd be a
It's
good
year
point to
round.
know as well.
Just on Fairview, it's definitely around.
Yeah, it is.
And I think we could also potentially have the DDA maybe be a part of the discussion as well, since it's in their district. So,
And I've already spoken with the DDA chair, and they're open to considering that and perhaps doing a cost share if the city were to purchase that property.
okay, well, I think it's something worthwhile looking into. So,
I agree.
okay.
Thank you.
Maybe council should just direct DDA to look into it and leave us out of the loop for a while until we get some answers.
I think it's good to have staff's input and information on where, what direction.
Yeah, no,
So,
absolutely staff input, but at this point,
There'll be
we
a-
have professionals that do this.
They'll be a key part of it. I'm sure they'll be quite helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you.
okay, so now I have events. So hold on, because there's several. I've got it. Thank you. We have the Mountain Arts Festival that is happening August 12th through the 13th. It's at 10 a.m. and I believe it's in Memorial Park. It is. And there will be 90 artists from across Colorado. There'll be face painting, characters done, food, refreshments, and live music. And that's Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That is the Mountain Arts Festival. And August 12th and 13th. And then we have Woodland Park Night Out with the Rocky Mountain Vibes. Give me a moment. I have a lot to read. It's Woodland Park's Night Out with the Rocky Mountain Vibes at the Rocky Mountain Vibes Stadium in Colorado Springs. And there will be community reserved seating behind the home plate for Woodland Park residents. And tickets are discounted to $6 a ticket. There's also an $8 meal voucher ticket that you're able to buy. There will be swag. There will be meet and greets with community partners. There will be a s'mores station Also, an inflatable park for children and fireworks will happen at 9 p.m. The gates open at 5:35 p.m. and the first pitch is at 6:35 p.m. And you can see the City of Woodland Park website for more information. And they roped me into throwing the first pitch at the baseball game. So if you want a good laugh, show up. So
The only problem is they have disallowed Hillary wearing stilettos.
yes, I'm not allowed to wear heels on the field. So, also on the 21st, we have from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. the Woodland Parks Farmers Market, again at Memorial Park. It will also be July 28th. And Saturday, the 22nd, from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m., there's a guided bird walk with Joe LaFleur at the Painted Bear store, which is in Green Mountain Falls. Tuesday, the 25th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Newmont, Cripple Creek, and Victor have the open house office hours at the mine for the public. On Sunday, July 30th, from noon to 3 p.m., Reserve Our Gallery is going to host the Walk for Art, which is a lovely program where you walk through the community through downtown and you see live music and other artists' work besides the artwork at the gallery. And that's a nice experience. And Gail hosts you and takes you on tour. And then Tuesday, August 1st, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is National Night Out at Memorial Park. And also, if you check Mueller State's website, they have a ton of outdoor activities happening at Mueller State Park with like, you can learn the bat watching and all kinds of natural activities for outdoorsy people. So check that out. They've got a lot of good stuff going on right now. So Councilmember Case.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I have the Park and Rec UPCC and Aquatic Center report for June of 2023. The Woodland Aquatic Center's recovery for June revenue as compared to expenditures is 81.14%. Amazing. And January through June is 72.54%. And I've been told that the young man sitting in the front row, middle black shirt with sunglasses on his head, regular glasses on his head, intends to make that 100%. Am I correct in that respect?
Gonna try.
It will be very difficult with just the pool itself, but if we entertain the dry side, would be considerably more feasible in the long term.
Sorry, I just had to put you on the spot. Thank you. You're doing a fantastic job. I'm always impressed with the numbers. Everything in this report is positive. Cindy's and her crew is doing an outstanding job with the Parks and Rec programs. I also have a little bit of great information from PPACG. We had the Board of Directors meeting here in Woodland Park on the 12th. We hosted at the Cultural Center. And the thing I took away that would be of interest to the community is their scheduled work program. They are going to be doing the reliever route study with a $500,000 CDOT contribution with a $100,000 Woodland Park match. It's not a match, but it's a contribution. In 2024, 2020, it's on that 24-25 list of federal funding, but that's going to begin soon, and that will be an interesting thing to look at when it comes out. Also, Highway 67 work, Evergreen Heights Drive to Kelly's Road. We have that research drive work going on out the turn lanes, suicide lanes, I guess they call them, are going to be happening. But the area between 624 and Evergreen Heights Drive will be it's 2 lanes already. They're going to be putting new curb and gutter and new pavement. And then from Evergreen Heights Drive down to beyond their I think it's research. They are going to be widening that to 2 lanes and putting the drainage underneath the road along that area. In fall, they'll be advertising that project. And next summer, there will be construction. And that's in addition to the work that we're doing with the turn lanes at Research. So a lot of work's going to be going on. We're having the 24 repavement going on right now. They're doing an amazing job and doing it very quickly. So that's just some great news I wanted to share. Michael, you weren't there, I'm sorry. You had an emergency and couldn't join us. Anyway, that's what I took away that would be of interest to the community and the council from the PPACG meeting. Have they committed to that? Has Teller County committed to helping with that $100,000?
They have, yes. they
Okay, I
committed
didn't know if they.
$30,000 to that. We're still looking for help to close that last $20,000 gap.
Okay. Thank you.
Council member Neal, I believe he needed to be promoted again. I know he's there. He asked to be promoted.
I texted Eric.
Well, I'll go on to Councilmember Zulawaga and we'll circle back to Councilmember Neal.
And I'm back on.
Oh,
Lynn, go ahead.
all right.
Okay,
we'll let you
go ahead, Robert.
Go ahead, Rusty.
Okay, I do have a DDA meeting report from July 11th. The first thing is a little bit of sad news. Rebecca Anderson has submitted her resignation to the board. So we now have one vacancy. Suzanne, we're going to need to have you post that so we can start generating some candidates for the city council to take a look at for appointment.
Thank you,
The second,
Councilmember Neal. I met with Chair Perry and we spoke about it. We're going to be posting it and we'll be doing the applications the second council meeting in August.
very good. The second thing that we had discussion on was retiring the small Vectra 2018 loan after the DDA paid off the city loan from the sale of the Woodland Station. There is sufficient funds to pay off the small Vectra Bank loan. What we are doing is checking to see that there's no prepayment penalty and whether the interest that the DDA is receiving from being in the financial vehicle is less than or equal to the interest that we will be paying. So it's a smart business decision. So we are drafting a resolution to retire it, but we have not made the final vote because we're still waiting for some data. The third thing, there had been some discussion of, it's referred to by some of the old timers as the Martini Building. It's 209 East Midland Avenue. It's a building that there had been some discussion about its appearance. And the owners of the building were very surprised. They were embarrassed. They knew nothing about how that building was being viewed as a blighted building or a spot in the city, because they have been engaged in legal battles with previous contractors. They have every intention to start improving the quality of that. They have business plans for it. They have just wrapped up a lot of money being spent to get through their legal issues, and they will be moving forward to making that into, I believe it's going to be a restaurant establishment put in there. Again, that's the Martini Building. Fourth item, we did have our July voting for the board members. Chair Perry was reelected. Vice Chair John Gamelke was reelected. Eric Cabrera was elected as the new treasurer to the DDA, and I was reelected to the secretary position. I do want to make a real brief comment about the COG move to Linda Martin had probably seen an article in the Courier and they did a retraction. They got the wrong item. The cog car is not moving over to where the former stagecoach station, way station is. There was discussion about moving the stagecoach over to the former stagecoach way station. Steve Pruitt, who's a historian, is doing some investigating to make that a national historic marker. And if he is successful, then it might be appropriate to move the stagecoach over to that location. It was reported as the cog car. That is an error that was retracted by the courier. So hopefully Linda Martin is still listening. Her worry is not valid. Lastly, Frank, to your point, I will bring the parking issue and that property discussion back to the DDA. I agree with you that it probably needs to start there as the government body that can provide some incentives to the public sector taking on that parking, working with the city staff. I will get that to Chair Perry and we'll make sure that is brought forward to the next DDA meetings. So thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Rusty.
And that is all I have.
Very good. Councilmember Zuluaga.
We had a conflict of meetings. Keep Woodland Park Beautiful met at the same time we did this afternoon, so I have no idea what was discussed. So I will read the minutes and let you know next time.
Very good.
Unless there's, yeah, actually, Michael, who did we reappoint from the city to represent in place of Grace?
We haven't yet. We're trying to figure out how to fill that position.
Okay.
We'll figure it out soon.
All right. So next meeting, we'll address that.
Councilmember Nakai.
All right, I have a couple save the dates for the Woodland Park Harvest Center. The 15th Annual Greenhouse and Garden Tour is August 26th and 27th. The sites will be determined and printout should be available early August. And then, believe it or not, we're halfway through the summer. Putting your beds to rest and seed saving is September 30th from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Woodland Park Library.
Very good. Councilmember Connors.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to start off by thanking the community partnership. This afternoon, they hosted the veterans and first responders for an appreciation lunch, which was pretty awesome. We had a live entertainment from Tava Blue, which is a local band, so that was even better. Also, the Ute Pass Historical Society is doing 2 more showings for the Dude Ranch. If you haven't seen the Dude Ranch of Teller County, it's pretty awesome. Several Dude Ranches of historical nature are in this film, and this film has won awards. It's actually won 2 foreign film awards or being presented at 2 foreign film outings. So it's pretty good. But anyway, they're going to be hosted at our Gold Hill Theater, August 5th and the 12th, starting at 11 o'clock. And tickets go on sale today. They're $7 a piece. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Very good.
Play ball.
Councilmember Harvey. City Attorney. City Manager.
I just like to congratulate Aaron again. He will be a great choice for you and very excited. I'll have final comments for myself selfishly next time. We do have the Police Department Community Cookout this Sunday, the 23rd at Memorial Park from 11 to 3. The chief will be there in an apron.
I know how that feels. I know how that feels.
Yes. So that'll be fun. Hot dogs and come out and meet the police and just have a nice, hopefully dry Sunday afternoon. And then police will also have the annual National Night Out. That'll also be at Memorial Park starting at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, August 1st. And that is all I got.
Free mug shots.
Very good.
And
This
fingerprinting.
meeting is finished.
Mayor,
Have
if
a good night.
council
Oh,
can just, you can adjourn, but if council can stay put, Kristen needs to see each and every one of you
Oh,
go to the
sure.
ball game.
Okay, thank you.